Alrighty. Well, thank you all for being here. This is our next session. I'm Joe Lloyd. I'm the will be the moderator for this section. Our presenter today is um, Crystal Maril. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but and she's going to be presenting on AI in action and transforming some student-centered learning. So go ahead, Crystal. You can go ahead and begin. And just a reminder, the session is recorded, and we will be here till 3:50 until we have our very last session of the day. All right. Thank you.
Great. And I assume you're able to see my screen. It looks good from my end. Okay, we'll see if the audio works as well as we go through it. But thank you so much for having me today. My name is Dr. Crystal Marul. I am faculty at the University of Florida, and I oversee the development and implementation of our online Spanish courses. And piggybacking off of what Sharon just shared, I've been using a lot of AI tools and trying to wield them not just as fun little tricks, but to really increase the pedagogical delivery of my course. So I'm just going to kind of walk through some of those ideas that I'm using. Um, Again, the whole goal of the Spanish program is to provide a solid foundation in the language for the students, motivate them, create an appetite for learning the language, help them to connect their Spanish skills to their real life. And then on the flip side for faculty and our department, it's to increase our enrollment and quality while also increasing our efficiency of workload. So I have developed a 3-pillar model to do this. This is the framework with which I'm using AI. So I'll just show briefly what that framework is. It's basically centered around 3 core activities for students as they go through this online course. The first one would be introduction to topics, contextualized practice, practice aids, grammatical guides, etc., using a digital textbook or platform, learning platform. And then using asynchronous interactive platforms. In my case, I use VoiceThread, but there's plenty in this space. And this allows students to play with the topics, open-ended types of responses, provides the student with some spontaneity as they create their responses, and then I can give them personalized feedback. And then lastly, the third pillar, which is the most important pillar to my course, is the authentic engagement. So students are meeting weekly with native speakers of the language via Zoom for conversation practice. And in addition to those conversation practices, they have the opportunity to attend. They have to attend 3 for credit, but they can attend up to 35, which are scheduled in the semester, of virtual type of field trips or workshops delivered by native speakers covering all different types of cultural topics. Think, for example, a walking tour of Sevilla, Spain, or a cooking demonstration or a dance demonstration done in live time via Zoom. So that's the broad framework of my course. Oops. And then the question is, how can I leverage what's out there, AI, to optimize this pedagogical framework? And the reason why I want to leverage AI is because I want to create as many personalized learning opportunities for my students as possible, but I also want to automate some of the activity or content creation and assessments, as well as enhancing engagement. So the first tool that I want to talk about, or not tool per se, but approach, is creating AI-driven study guides. So this is allowing me to create study guides that will identify different problem areas on exams, provide targeted explanations, and improve comprehension. So what I've done is I've taken the content of exams, as well as the student feedback of which questions they were getting wrong and whatnot, as well as the vocabulary and grammar worksheets that they had to train on. And I've been uploading them into ChatGPT and asking it to create a comprehensive study guide, taking into consideration the feedback from the exams, the way the exams are structured, and to provide examples, highlight certain student mistakes that are common, provide explanations, etc. So then it gives me a nice little study guide. Now, after what Sharon shared, I'm going to change this into something more interactive, I think, using Claude. But for the time being, this has been a huge improvement over what I had, because it also provides some practice questions for the students. And it's not a heavy lift for me. It only takes me a few minutes to prepare this, and I can tweak it as necessary. The next step is, now that I have a study guide, is creating a generated practice exam for the students so that they can now prepare themselves for the exam, review the content, and then test themselves. So going back to ChatGPT, I take the same input that I took from the previous session, which was the exam content itself, the student outcomes, the vocabulary and grammar guides that they had, And now I also add to it the study guide that ChatGPT had produced for me, as well as the practice questions that had given it to me. I then ask it to create for me a multiple choice type of questions for the practice exam, and I wanted to format it according to Respondus. I also upload, I wonder if I have it in this slide or next slide. No. Anyway, I also upload the Respondus formatting guide. So Respondus has a quiz generator that's compatible for Canvas, but they have to be formatted in a very particular way. It's a very dense handbook on the formatting, and it's easiest just to upload that handbook to ChatGPT as well as the other content and ask it to produce for me the CSV file that I need to then upload to Respondus. So then I get an output, something similar to that. I'm able to take this output, I'm able to feed it into the Respondus tool for the QTI quiz generator for Canvas, get my QTI zip file, upload it to Canvas, and then it produces for me a multiple choice type of test for my students. And what's great about this is I could very easily increase the number of questions so that the students could take the practice exam multiple times and always have different questions to look at. And there's other ways I could be using this. I could be using it just as general practice. I could create a whole playground for students. I do have to say though that this has not gone smoothly for me. And as we have been speaking with Sharon, something glitches often with the Respondus tool and getting it to actually upload into Canvas. But in theory and occasionally in practice, it actually works. So that is the vision. Then what else can I do to help students prepare for their assessment is I am leveraging the Notebook LM to turn the exam review into a podcast. And that way students who are more focused on the auditory learning, or they want something a little more entertaining, or they just want an additional resource. And also a lot of my students are online students, which means they have very busy lives. They work outside of school or whatnot. So this is something they can listen to while they're doing their other jobs or while they're driving to also be preparing for the exam. So I navigate to Notebook LM. I'm going to upload to Notebook LM the same study guide content that I had done before, and I'm going to prompt it to create for me a podcast. I give it some instructions. I can upload more information if I wanted to tweak it, and now I'm going to play it, and hopefully you can hear it. If Erica, I can see you, so if you can give me a thumbs up if you hear this when I play it, I'd appreciate that.
All right, so are you ready to dive in? Today we're looking at something that might not seem like the most exciting thing at first glance.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we're tackling an intermediate Spanish exam,
Ooh, okay.
but trust me on this one, we're going to uncover some really interesting stuff.
Like what?
Like immigration and art and storytelling and how they all connect back to the Spanish language.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where are we getting all this from?
We've got a trusty study guide.
A study guide?
Yep, it covers units 13 through 15.
Okay, study guide, I see.
It's amazing how much culture and history we can learn from languages, right?
It really is. When
Yeah.
you think about it, learning the words is just the beginning.
I'm not going to play all of it, but as you can see, it's very engaging. It's interesting. It's easy to listen to. Even though I've listened to this multiple times, it's still easy to listen to. And what I really like with Notebook LM is that they now have the interactive mode. So it can produce for me this study guide, and I can actually interrupt the podcast with my own types of questions to which the podcasters will actually respond. So in a way, I can kind of guide the conversation in the directions that I wanted to go to, and then have it produce the final outcome. It's still, sometimes a little clunky, but I've already been using this, for example, creating podcasts for the syllabus review and sharing that with my students in the beginning of the semester, as well as some other content that I just want them to have a different way to access the information and hopefully engage with it. So I'm kind of putting it all together. What do? I put together a Canvas quiz review activity where I tell the students that in preparation for their exam, view the attached study guide, listen to the accompanying podcast, and complete the questionnaire that follows. So then the students have the study guide podcast they can listen to, they have the study guide they can download, and then I say for additional practice, you can take this practice exam as many times as you'd like. So it's not a graded exam, it's just an opportunity for them. And then I ask them to take their pulse on how they're feeling. Do you feel prepared for the exam? What areas do you find most difficult? Where do you need more support, etc.? And of course, from the feedback of these types of questions, I can improve the resources for the next semester. So what else can I do to assist students in reviewing and preparing? And one thing that's always critical for language learning is music. Music is just a way to really increase the automaticity of the language, both from a pronunciation standpoint, a vocabulary knowledge, and an automaticity of grammar. So anytime that you can get students to listen to Spanish music, sing along with the Spanish music, it's hugely helpful for their skills. But how can I leverage music now for my students? Well, I have a tool called Suno AI that I've been playing around with. And there's a free version of Suno AI, but it only allows you to provide a 200-character prompt. So I turn back to ChatGPT and I say, hey, ChatGPT, I want to create a song to help review the content of the attached study guide, but I can only use 200 characters as a prompt. What should they be? So it gives me a nice little 200-character prompt, which I can then take and I can plug it into Suno and have it create for me songs based on this content. And I'll just play for you a little, two of the songs that it produced for me. One of them here, as soon as it loads, is based on the subjunctive versus the indicative. And then the other one are past tense verbs. So I'll play it for you a little bit.
Comiste, comió, todo lo decidí, viajé, viajaste, viajó, nunca te viví, viviste, vivió, la ciudad gris, bailé, bailaste, bailó, como un desliz, cantaste, cantó, pero la mañana dormí, corriste, corrió, hasta la ventana, bebí, bebiste, bebió, el jugo de manzana, salté.
I mean, the titles are transposed, but that was the past tense review of the verbs. And then this one should be the ones about the subjunctive versus the indicative.
Firme bajo pie, su cultivo es un ser, una duda también. Ser esa esencia, la verdad de quién soy. Estar es un estado como siempre me doy. ¿Para qué quieres saber si no preguntas lo que quiero con somos? Te lo diré al instante, dámelo, díselo, trae el libro, hoy dímelo, cuéntalo, espéralo, quién soy. Sé quién puede no ser.
Okay, and as you can see, it also gives you the lyrics on the screen. Again, not perfect, but close enough. It's very close to being perfect, and it's really wonderful. It's quite catchy. And for those of you that speak Spanish, you can pick up on some of the things. But for example, in verse 3, it's saying when it's something certain, you're going to go with the indicative. And subjunctive is always for a doubt that's hanging around, right? So it's correct grammatically, but it's a catchy kind of way to explain it. And then it gives you examples. So it talks about using the double object pronouns, which is using up here. And it's really awesome and entertaining. So I'm out of time, right? I need to wrap it up. Is that right?
You have about 10 minutes.
Oh, I have 10 minutes. I've been flying through. Sorry.
It's okay.
I can
350 is
we have
the
a lot
end.
of time for questions and comments. So anyway, yeah, I miscalculated my time on that, but that's fine. So yeah, so when I think about using AI, it's about how can I automate things that take me too long to do, but that I want to make available to students, right? So it's not about being flashy or trying to be necessarily like just using the newest tool. I'm always thinking about what is it that I've wanted to provide for my students, but I typically don't because this is too time intensive. Or what is it that I'm now able to create that I couldn't before? So for example, music. I cannot sing to save my life. So there's been wonderful YouTubers out there that create catchy songs in Spanish. Whenever I find them, I would share them with my students. But I can't do that. That's not in my wheelhouse. But I love the fact now that the AI is making that something that is accessible to me, and then I can create it for my students and share it with them. So I guess what I wanted to say with the AI is let's not fear it, but let's wield it. And then I wanted to talk about how AI is definitely revolutionizing, I think, the world in general and society in general, but also for foreign language instruction. Here I focus on something that's quite boring. I think assessments and practice exams and things like that. But the opportunity for me is now unlimited because now as I think about, okay, if I can create a study guide and I can create a practice test, I could also create a whole vast library of resources for students where they can select the topic that they need more help on, and they can automatically pretty much have a study guide available for it, and then they can have, you know, practice, unending practice with those types of activities. Another really interesting field of development, which I have not incorporated into my courses, although it is available, but I'm not satisfied with its quality yet, are the AI-driven oral proficiency testing, adaptive conversational AI, or personalized grammar coaching. I've been playing around with a lot of AIs, the chat bots that are out there that you can speak with and you can practice conversation. But for me, they've been extremely frustrating. I feel like I'm on an AI voice call when you're trying to select the correct menu option. And it's just like, you know, you're not talking to a human and you're like, human, 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 or give me somebody, like, I want to talk to a real agent, is the sensation I get when I try engaging with these tools. So from my personal perspective, they're just not there yet, but I don't think it'll take them that much longer to get there. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Another thing is, as I've mentioned, the bottleneck with Canvas, what I've been leveraging is I recently found out about a computer science course for where the majors, the computer science majors in their senior year have to tackle a real world problem. So I was able to pitch to their instructor a couple of my real world problems where I want to leverage these tools and get them more streamlined into Canvas. So I have had 5 different teams of seniors and computer science majors now working on with me on these projects. So for example, getting the practice exams, instead of using Respondus, they're developing an app, kind of like what Sharon mentioned, an app that would interface and be able to much more streamline the process of uploading the content, selecting what type of questions I want asked, producing the content, and making it Canvas ready. So I'm really excited about how that's going to go for me. And then in the end, I just want to say it's always about pedagogical decisions. It's always thinking about how can I improve the learning opportunities for my students and not put the shiny new thing in place of that. It's not about just doing it because it's new and it's trendy, but it's about really selecting ways to improve the learning acquisition process. And if there's a lower skill level type of activity or lower technology type of activity that works fine, leave it alone. So right now, like, I have my language tutor or coaches that my students are meeting with once a week, native speakers via Zoom, and they just have conversations. These are human beings having conversation via Zoom. And I am not going to replace them, at least not now, for any kind of AI driven conversation bot, just because it's new or cheaper. But the quality and the experience the students gain by engaging with human beings is so valuable that I'm not going to replace it anytime soon, if ever at all. So it's really trying to keep clear the pedagogical goals for each tool and then selecting the tool for it. So anyway, pedagogy drives, AI rides shotgun. Great teaching isn't about chasing the latest gimmick. And then I guess I have, 5 minutes now for questions and discussion.
Just Crystal, thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I can't wait to look at the recording of this because you've given us so many practical techniques and tools here to use. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I
That
just
was great. Oh, sorry, Dr. Woodhill. Yeah, it was great. Thank you, Crystal. As a former secondary ed teacher and new instructional designer, just some of those, I'm trying to gather more tools in my little AI toolbox, and it's just great that I could add a couple more. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I just posted in the chat and I was kind of joking, but I'm kind of serious too. How, I don't know about you, but I know I end up with like multiple subscriptions and, then my debit card changes and I realize I've been dishing out, hundreds of bucks every month for all these different AI tools, and some of them are very helpful, but I'm just wondering, do you have any, is that an issue for you because some of these are great and I'm totally stealing these ideas.
For sure. And this is really tricky. I was at an AI workshop on campus and we were talking about how do we fund these types of tools. But the problem is all these tools, let's say you buy a subscription, next week or next month, there's a tool that's even better that's out. And now you have another subscription. So right now I've been just using the free, as much as I can, free access, free trials. And I haven't married myself to anything because I just keep waiting to see what else evolves before I marry to anything. I do have, the pro subscription for Grok, and I do have the pro subscription for ChatGPT. And I have the pro subscription to Canva for design. But that's kind of like right now the extent of any kind of pro subscriptions. I'm not willing yet to pay for like even the musical generator. I would have to see that I use it enough and more often that I want all the tools that I could have if I paid. But I don't know. I don't know how to address that. I definitely don't think it needs to be centralized. That was something that our AI workshop was talking about. Like, should the university purchase certain types of subscriptions? And I was like, oh, heck no, because there's so many of them and everyone wants to use something different. And there'll be so much money just wasted, I think, on subscriptions that aren't getting enough use. So I don't know if we can allocate funds to faculty to use for whatever it is they discover. I don't know. How are you handling it?
Oh, like I said, I just subscribe to things and then forget until I change my debit card every now and then then I learn which ones I forgot to cancel.
Yeah. I don't do that.
Yeah,
I'm not-
not a best practice. No.
Sometimes
So I don't know, but I mean,
sometimes
there's
you have to give your credit card information to get the free trial, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty serious about putting the cancellation date into my calendar and making sure that I go back and cancel it before I get charged.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I love the podcast for creating the podcast. Is that a free one that you're using too, or is that a paid one?
That's free. That's free through is it Microsoft? I'm not sure. It's free. I'm sure it has the bells and whistles.
Did you?
People don't know, but I just use a free version. And another thing is I often use AI, ChatGPT, or Grok, and I'll say, which is the best free version to do this skill? And it'll give me a couple of options of
Oh.
what's out there for AI tools. Oh, and another thing, if you haven't done this yet, and I've had it work with Grok, not with ChatGPT, but I'll ask for coupon codes. So it's been giving me
Oh.
coupon codes that have been
Oh
working.
my gosh.
And like I set up a web page for a hosting, and I got a discount on my hosting from a coupon code that Grok gave me. Also with a Zoom professional account for another initiative I'm in, I got a discount code. So I do that too.
Okay, you need okay. I can't keep track of all this. This is all so helpful. Thank you.
Kind of like asking Chad, can you give me the winning lottery tickets? And it gives it to you. Give me the winning lottery numbers and it gives it to you.
Right. Well, that's what ChatGPT, when I asked for coupon codes, it gave me codes, but none of them worked. But when I asked Grok gave me codes that worked.
Okay, I'm getting a new subscription to that one today.
Is Grok, Crystal, GROC? I'm so unfamiliar with a lot of these AI tools. I'm trying to build a toolkit, but
Are okay. It's the one through X or Twitter.
okay. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Crystal. It is now 3:50, so we're going to go ahead and give everybody a chance to get back into the main room. We'll have our final session for the day. All right. Thank you all for attending the presentations.
Thank you.